Hello students, this is Mrs. Sonal Patil. In our last class, we have completed up till kingdom Mycota, its classification we have studied. Today, we will study about introduction to kingdom Plantae, Animalia, and we will study about viruses, viroids and lichens. Kingdom Plantae includes all eukaryotic, that is they have definite nucleus, chlorophyll containing organisms called plants. A few members are partially heterotrophic such as the insectivorous plants or parasites. Bladderwort and Venus flytrap are examples of insectivorous plants, and Cuscuta is a parasitic plant. The plant cells have a eukaryotic structure with prominent chloroplast. Since they are green in color, it's because of the pigment chloroplast. And cell wall, that is chlorophyll, they have the pigment called as chlorophyll in them, because of which they exhibit the green color, and the cell wall is mainly made up of cellulose. Plantae includes algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. Life cycle of plants has two distinct phases, the diploid sporophytic and haploid gametophytic phase. They alternate with each other, that is nothing but diploid sporophytic generation, or the sporophytic phase alternates with the haploid gametophytic phase. During sporophytic phase, the plant produces spores, whereas during gametophytic it produces gametes. The length of haploid and diploid phases and whether these phases are free living or dependent on others vary among different groups in plants. This phenomena is called alternation of generation. In detail, we are going to study about this particular kingdom in the next chapter. Coming to kingdom Animalia, this kingdom is characterized by heterotrophic eukaryotic organisms that are multicellular, and their cells lack cell walls. You already know that animal cells do not possess cell wall, whereas plant cells possesses cell wall. They directly or indirectly depend on plants for food. They digest their food in an internal cavity and store food reserves as glycogen or fat. Their mode of nutrition is holozoic, by ingestion of food. They follow a definite growth pattern and grow into adults that have a definite shape and size. Higher forms show elaborate sensory and neuromotor mechanism. Most of them are capable of locomotion. The sexual reproduction is by copulation of male and female gametes. It is followed by embryological development. Again, about kingdom Animalia in detail we are going to study in the chapter Animal Kingdom. We are going to study over there. Coming to viruses, viroids and lichens, in the 5 kingdom classification of R.H. Whittaker, there is no mention of some acellular organisms like viruses, viroids and lichens. Coming to viruses, viruses are non-cellular, ultramicroscopic infectious entities having nucleic acid core surrounded by a protein coat. So in the center they have nucleic acid which is surrounded by a protein coat. The viruses are non-cellular organisms that are characterized by having an inert crystalline structure outside the living host. So they have a crystalline structure, that is nothing but outside the living host they behave as non-living entities. They are crystalline, they can be crystallized. After infecting a living cell, they make use of protein synthesis machinery of the host cell for its multiplication. So, host machinery it has been using for its multiplication. So, outside the living cell, it behaves as a non-living entity, and inside the host cell, it multiplies by using the protein machinery of the host cell, and they synthesize their own proteins and they multiply. Viruses contain DNA or RNA as their genetic material with protein coat. Hence, they are the nucleoproteins. The virus which infect plant have single-stranded RNA, and those infecting animals have double-stranded RNA or double-stranded DNA, and because of which we can classify them as plant viruses or animal viruses or DNA viruses and RNA viruses. The virus that infects bacteria is called bacteriophage, that has DNA as its genetic material. The protein coat present around the nucleic acid is called capsomeres. So protein coat is surrounded by, that is, nucleic acid is having a protein coat which is made up of capsomeres. Viruses cause diseases like AIDS, mumps, herpes, smallpox, influenza, corona disease. You might have heard about coronavirus. Among plants, they cause diseases like mosaic, leaf rolling, leaf curling, yellowing and vein clearing, dwarfing and stunted growth. The name virus, that means venom or poisonous fluid, was given by Pasteur. Ivanowski recognized certain microbes as caused organisms of the mosaic disease of tobacco. So here the plant leaf is showing different patches, patch like mosaic like pattern it appears on the leaf because of the destruction of chlorophyll, and this is caused by the virus. Bejernik demonstrated that the extract of the infected plants of tobacco could cause the infection in healthy plants and called the fluid as contagium vivum fluidum. Stanley showed that viruses could be crystallized. So this is about the viruses, and then viruses shows both living and non-living characters. Coming to viroids, they are infectious nucleic acids lacking protein. They lack protein. Viroids were discovered by Danner. Viroid is an infectious agent that is smaller than virus. It is smaller than virus and causes potato spindle tuber disease. It is made up of only RNA without protein coat, hence the name viroid. The most notable diseases caused by prions are BSE, that is bovine spongiform encephalopathy, and CJD in humans. So that is about the viroids. So these are nothing but they are smaller than the viruses and they lack the protein. They are infectious nucleic acids. So they are made up of only RNA without the protein. Coming to lichens. Lichens are symbiotic association, that is mutually useful association between algae and fungi. So algae and fungi are related in such a way that both are benefited, and that type of relationship is called as symbiotic relationship. The algal component is known as phycobiont. Important question again for 1 mark. Phycobiont. What is phycobiont may be asked. And the fungal component is mycobiont, which are autotrophic and heterotrophic respectively. Algae prepare food for fungi and fungi provide shelter and absorb mineral nutrients and water for its partner. So close is their association, that if one saw a lichen in nature, one would never imagine that they had two different organisms within them. Lichens are very good pollution indicators. They do not grow in polluted areas. And lichens are of different types. Like there are foliose lichens are there. Okay, so there are different types of crustose lichens are there, foliose lichens are there, fruticose lichens are there. So these are nothing but they are the symbiotic association of algae and fungi, where both algae and fungi live in such a relationship that both are benefited and neither is harmed. Very important question again from exam point of view, lichens. So this was about viruses, viroids and lichens. We'll stop here. This completes the second chapter, biological classification. The next class we will begin with the next chapter. Thank you.